All right, there we go. I should be good now. All right. I hope everyone's doing good. So I wanted to. I'm just gonna jump in, um, and um, and we'll go over, some of the, Lisa's website and the books and stuff. And we'll go through that. But I'm really excited for this. The next book I have written, and it's about old school sales and new school sales. With the digital age, the difference and what stays the same and what has to change um, to be successful, and maybe see what some of you guys are going through. But what I wanted to do is in this episode really um, finish up the hero story. I got a lot of messages about how I referred so many when I was working at a bank. We had partners we had to refer to, and I used to be blow that goal out. So I mean, just blow it out of the water. And so everyone wanted to know. Well, not everyone, but some people wrote in. They wanted to know exactly what I was talking about and how I did that. What was I saying? So I'll share that. And if you do refer, or you do have people you refer to and you can make money, if you learn to say what I'm going to tell you the right way, it will be a moneymaker for you immediately. Um, and then also, some people wrote in because I was talking about edification and how important edification is, and exactly what it is. And it has to be done right. But when it is done right, it is, again, massively powerful. So I will go through those, and then we'll get into the market landscape and the market snapshot, especially with the wars going on, everything that's happened with Iran, Israel, and then still Russia, Ukraine, and then you still have China lurking, right? You still have all these other kind of sneaky countries lurking around. But what should you be, or I'll just tell you what type of sectors I'm looking at in the markets, as far as what I think is going to start to move, what happens when we go to war, what stocks move up. But again, this is not a investment advice show at all. It's just the stuff that I'm doing. So I just figured I'd share it with you, but no advice. Nobody, should do your own research all the time. So the last time we were talking about selling, I wanted to really close off storytelling in a way and dedicate more time to it, because if you're face to face with somebody and they're coming in to see you and you have time to sit with them, if you can story tell, I don't think there's nothing that's going to make people move to where you want them to move with emotion and almost a certainty that they want to buy what you have if you do it right, than if you can tell a good story. And the hero's journey, right, is that's what the story is. And in the hero's journey, you always have to remember that you are not the hero, right? The client is the hero. You're the guide, right? And the story, in order to be powerful, impactful, influencing, all those things that you need to make a sale, it needs to share similar struggle, right? And then there's the comeback story on how it works, and then using either a hook phrase to let the customer answer. Are you would you want to have the same outcome in your business as whatever story you told had in their business, right? And put them to that answer, because once they go to that answer, it's a done deal. That's the test close, and it's almost the close, but that's the test close, right? Because then you still have to go, okay, so these are your options, which one, right? Or whatever product you're selling. So we're going to close the loop on this with the hero's journey, and how it can apply, how you can apply it really strategically in sales and actually in life. Okay, and from from understanding, even global market conditions to mastering, I don't know, the structure and delivery of a really a compelling story. But you have to put some work into the stories. Okay, like when I was selling in the bank, I had a story for almost for well, I did for everything, but not for every type of small business, but the ones that were like more prevalent in the branch I was at. And so it was like there was the smaller businesses would have been like sole proprietorships or were like maid cleaning businesses, and they were growing, right? And you'd be surprised how much money they make. Nail salons, um, stuff like that, landscapers, stuff, things like that, where it was like very cash heavy, and they were starting to like grow, but they may have still not been taking merchant, right? No merchant, um, and or no, not no, they haven't been doing any credit. They're not investing anything, or they have a home. Maybe they can refinance or take a home equity line of credit to help with their business, whatever it may have been. And again, I'll get into how you actually refer out, but I just want to stick with this for a second. So you got to deliver a really compelling story. The episode, okay, arms you with not only tactical but psychological tools. That's what the story actually does. Hi, Mama. And so with that, um, with those tools, you'll be able to close more deals, and that's going to lead to a more disciplined life, because what you're going to do is you're going to be in the loop of telling those stories, right? And when you're in the loop of doing that, when you start using it and you start kind of panning out, so you're not just using it for a sale, you're using it for your personal growth, right? And then you're using it for life goals, and then you're using it for whatever to come. When that starts to happen, then you have to see, you're going to see the hero's journey arc, right? Because you should be using it in your sale. When you see that in your own life, then that's when you are making decisions saying, this is the life I want. These are the steps I need to take if I want it, right? So instead of you guiding a customer, you're literally selling yourself, which is very powerful when you can do that. And you can take yourself there, because the same picture you're getting in your head on your life and what it could be if it followed that hero's journey arc, is the same thing you're doing inside of a customer's head. That's the same picture that they're getting as you're talking and as you're going, and building the plot of the story right into the climax and the arc, where they're feeling the struggle and they're feeling this, and they have the same things going on, and they can relate, right? And then it's either you keep going on the same path and you're gonna fall out, or you follow this path, right? And you become more successful because you have more options to take payments. No one carries cash anymore. You become a nuisance, blah, 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 whatever it may be. So there's certain things that need to happen for you to grow as a business. And once they can see that in their head that they're growing like this business, and they want to be like this business, but then if they don't make the decision, yes, they're going to go down, and that business will keep going. Do you want to compete with that business? Do you want to dominate that business? Industry, whatever it is, whatever it may be. Do you want to go after the top market shareholder? Do you want to just grow? If you want to, then what will happen is it will default to just them saying yes to what you're asking them to do, but they will be making that decision because the picture in their head will bring them to a point of emotion, and emotion makes decisions. Indifference is very, very difficult to deal with. And that's the truth. And you want to get emotion out of somebody. It doesn't even matter if they're pissed off. You don't want to piss people off, but you want something, because without that, again, it's like that greased watermelon with no handles. You have no idea what they're thinking, where they are. There's no way to overcome something like that. There's no, that's why it always staggers me a little bit when salesmen get upset about objections. When someone is objecting and they're giving you an objection, they're telling you where they are in their head. They're telling you, like, I was with you the whole way, but now you did this. You saw their body language, right? Shift, right? You go to say something, and all of a sudden, they don't have any time anymore. They have an appointment they got to get to, right? We know that kind of bullshit, but you said something that now they feel like they're being sold. Right now, you kind of did something that was a turnoff. You had them going good until it was a turnoff. You're not reading body language, or you're just kind of like instructionally listening, right? That like that selfish listening, which or informational listening, right? Informational listening, right? That's what that is. So you're just waiting to hear stuff, right? Selfishly, you're selfishly listening. What can make it easier on you, and then you're going to go at them, right? You're not critically listening or actively listening, right? You're not or empathetically listening. That's out the window. And once it changes from empathetic listening or critical listening to an informational listening, that's where they're going to start to turn, because that's when it's going to give them that sleazy used car salesman, right? That insurance salesman, or that connotation that people have about salesmen, right? That we try to exterminate because it's not really true, but a couple of people give us a bad, a bad look. How you doing, Tim? Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming on. I hope when you listen to it, you get something out of it. So yeah. So anyway, what we're going to do is each segment. What I wanted to do. It's very, very purposeful. It's very purpose driven. There is a lot of insight in there. It's either you're writing some of these things down, or you're just listening and then you're going to forget, right? We only retain about 10% of what we hear. And so even if you're Einstein and you, let's say, retain 50% of what you hear, how would that work if I gave you 50% of the directions how to get to my house, right? You're not going to get here. So what you want to do is you want to write everything down. It'll give you more, and take what's important to you, what pertains to you, and the rest leave, but just, see what you can use. And the structure is going to be in a way where you should see a path forward that you can use put immediate actions into place, and actually have performance growth, which should turn out to more value to the market, more value to your clients, which in turn leads to fatter checks, right? So the more people we help in the right way, the fatter your checks will be. We're not chasing commission, we're chasing value in the marketplace and how many people we can help. And so if we can learn how to help more and more people, your commissions will get bigger and bigger. And that's how it works, right? What value do you bring to the market? Which is why, nothing against any position, which is why, the companies they run, and you see the person who cleans the bathroom, right, is not making as much as the person who is on the sales team. The sales team person is not making as much as the CFO, right? Because one is bringing more value to more people, or less people can do what they do. And so they're more in demand. So they get paid more, right? That's how it goes. So, all right. So segment one is we're going to jump right into the opening hook, right? And the hero's journey completed. So we are going to complete this journey. So first, every great sale, just like every great movie, right, follows a journey. And so it's, it's kind of, what we're going to do is we're going to tie it up into a bow. So we're going to finish what we started last week, because it's important. This is how I was taught how to sell in the beginning. And when I took it to the bank, nobody was selling that way. And as soon as they heard how I was selling, the people who actually had some smarts started asking me very, very pointed questions about how I do this and how I did that, and why I said this and why I said that, because it's very different from how the bank trained you, right? And how these places train you to sell, right? They train in that one cookie cutter way, that they're just hoping that you make enough phone calls or see enough people to get enough presentations off to hopefully get one sale. And you pay for and you could pay for your salary and benefits, and they don't have to be bothered. But that's not what we want to do, right? We want to make sure that every customer, we are putting in 150%, meaning when we go in, we are focused, we are deadly focused, right? We are deadly focused right in on the customer, no outside distractions. And we go into the story mode where we're building a a journey forward. And again, you're not the hero, the customer's the hero, right? We're just the guide. We're guiding them through, and they're going through the journey. We're just painting the picture. And so what happens is, like this picture behind me, if say this wasn't here and you're doing the hero's journey, right? You're talking to me, this should be what's happening in my head, right? This picture in my head where I'm almost romanticizing what you're saying, and how this is growing in my head. This picture is growing in my head on how my business can be, how my whatever this may be growing. I don't know. It's a vineyard for wine, and I need to do something. And I see it growing, and I'm seeing how beautiful and lush it looks, and that's all in my head. And since that's my life's work, or what I want to be, or my family's legacy, right? It's very important. And once I could tap into that, and you are there, it's over, right? In a good way, because you'll see things the way I do, and I know I'm bringing value to you. And once you have the product that I'm selling, you're going to be very happy. So, all right. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect it on both sales strategy and personal transformation, because the hero's journey can help you both ways, which is why I like it, because this is personal growth and sales. I just don't want to. I could train you to be, hired assassins, and you go into a lamp company and you'll be the best lamp salesman that they've ever seen, right? But who gives a shit? Because is that really what you want to do? And what happens if lamps go out of business because AI comes in and there's walking robots, and no one gives a shit about lamps anymore? What are you going to do? What are you going to try and sell if you only were getting good at being a savage at selling a lamp, right? You want to be the best you can be. So no matter what industry you go in, you can apply the sales strategies. You can apply the principles and discipline that I'm telling you. And you can literally go into any number of industries, any number of products. And all you would need to do is learn about the product, right? And then you just fit it into your selling strategy, because any product you have, you can do this strategy, right? Sales strategy. And when you're going face to face with somebody, I'm not talking digitally. Digitally is different. Digital, you're going to want to do different things. I'm talking about when we're still going to talk to people, we're still over the phone, or we're still people facing, whether we're knocking on doors, businesses, or they're coming in to see us, or you're sitting down at a table doing life insurance, or a doctor's office doing a disability plan, or a 401k plan, or an annuity, whatever it may be. Estate planning, doesn't matter. So, because we still do sales that way, this is going to always be the most effective way you will be able to do it, especially if you have a little bit of time with the customer. So we're going to recap the 10 heroes journey stages, right? And it's going to be brief. And so what I'll do is, all right. So I'm gonna highlight how your client is the hero, right? And you're the guide. And so a couple of things. How I would apply this to answer your questions now, because I told everyone I would answer what they wrote in. So okay, so I'm going to do this first, and then we're going to go through what your call to action is. So if you are referring people to, if you do work in a bank, or you work at a place where you're calling people, but you have closers that you are going to be moving people to close, say, bigger deals, you have to send them to a bigger closer, right? Or you're in a bank and you got to refer to an investment guy, a mortgage specialist, a merchant specialist, a business specialist, right? Whatever it may be. And so the two ways, or it's one way, but the two big components is edification, right? And using hook phrases. And so what I used to do, and if you write it down, I'm not going to repeat it too many times. So if I saw that somebody, I don't know, had didn't have, they were a business and didn't have merchant, or they wanted to do a retire IRA with some investments in there, and they were asking me what they should invest in. Right now, I wasn't licensed at that time, right? So I would have to refer out to the investment guy. So this is what I would say. I would say, hey, um, because I was actively listening, right? I was empathetically and critically listening. And so when you critically listen, right, you're not listening, you're listening to really understand the situation that this customer is in, and it goes beyond empathy. It goes beyond just talk. It goes to where you're writing down. They see you writing everything down because it's critically important, right? So I say, hey, it looks like I took these notes and you summarize. That's critical listening. That would fall into that category. So, Mr. Smith, um, I just want to summarize. You're saying that you have X amount of dollars and you want to put some in a SEP IRA, because you want to take a minimum of a $30,000 tax deduction, and you also have money you want to put in a college account, right, for your kid. And how old is your daughter's? You said what, 3 now? Oh, great. So that's the good time to start. Okay. All right. So you did say, okay. So that was your first thing. So let's handle that first. So, um, on a scale to 1 to 10, how important is it to get done, uh, on the scale of importance for your financial goals? How important is this to get done? Because it's going to, give me, kind of a gauge on how fast I'm going to move, because I want to make sure I'm working at your pace. You're not working at mine, right? And my hands go up like that for a reason. It shows that, like, at mine, like, you're in control, right? And it just keeps it disarms them. So now they feel respected, they feel heard, they feel understood. Now you're asking for clarification because you wrote it down. That shows that you really care about what they're saying, because you took that, you're writing it down, and now you're summarizing it back. And now you're asking them with your hands up, how quickly do you want us to move here? Because I'm moving at your pace and you're not moving at mine, right? And he says, no, that's actually, my number one. I need to get this. I've been procrastinating on this for a year now. My accountant says I need it, and I just got to get it done. Great. So what I'd like to do is this: I can answer, some of the more fundamental questions. And you have to realize, this is when I just let my licenses go. I could have sold almost everybody I sat with, an investment, because I went right up to that point, and then I had to stop because I wasn't licensed. But so what I would do is I would answer I'd say, listen, I can answer your questions, fundamental, basic questions from like 30,000-foot view. But wouldn't you agree that getting 100% of the correct information is the best possible way to make a decision, that would best serve your family and you and your retirement and your child's education? Wouldn't you agree? And that's the hook at the end. So it is it's a very simplistic, very, very pointed, very powerful referring statement. Mr. Smith, wouldn't you agree, in order to make the best decision for your retirement and your child's education, that making a decision on 100% of the correct information is the best way to make that decision? And be quiet, right? And what do you think they're going to say? Because I haven't had one person say no. Um, I would think I could even make a good decision on 95% of the right information. right? No one, they're not going to say that. It is designed for them to answer me yes, right? Which is obvious. The best way to make a decision is getting 100% of the correct information. Wouldn't you agree? Yes. You're a smart man. Give me 1 second. Ooh, and that was it. I didn't say, so you have 2 minutes to talk to Shelly. She's an investment person and she can, there was none of that, right? It's where once you're going down, you gotta push right through. So again, this is important. Okay, so this is what you want to do now. Great. So what I'm going to do is I want to take a step back. I want to make sure you get the absolute best information. So wouldn't you agree, Mr. Smith, that getting 100% of the correct information is the best way to make a decision, especially regarding such important topics as your retirement and your child's education? Wouldn't you agree that's the best way to make a decision? Uh, yeah, John. Great. You're a smart man. Give me 1 second. And then I just would dial the investment person. Yeah. Hi, what up, Michael? Michael, how you doing? Yeah, so I have Mr. Joe Smith here. He wants to put 100,000 in a SEP IRA or 40, whatever it is, 50,000 in a SEP IRA because he wants to max out that deduction. But he also has about 40,000 he wants to put in an educational plan for his daughter. And so this is what so this is what he wants to do, right? So I'm telling Michael everything. So I said, give me 1 second. I'm going to just hand the phone over to Joe. Okay, Joe, this is Michael, and there you go, right? And so he gets on with Michael. So that's 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 how you do it when it comes to for the first part. So again, make sure you write it down. And I'll tell you, I practiced this to the point where I can say it, and I could have transitioned into that saying from almost anywhere I was in the conversation. It didn't matter where, when, what I was saying, what we were talking about. I was able to put that one sentence or two sentences anywhere I wanted, and I got a yes 98% of the time. It was insane how many I would leave. Every person who I spoke to left with at least going to see two, if not three specialists. So I had a business, a merchant, an investment, a mortgage, right? I had four specialists. Every time a customer came to my desk, I had a minimum probably, I would say I was probably running an average of about 2.5. But I was I would say at least two specialists got referred to every time I sat with somebody. It was insane. At the end of the month, my KPIs for referrals, I was at like thousands of a percent. It was crazy. I was just blowing up. I was blowing it up. So again, merchant, same thing. So merchant is important because you can see how that can build your business, right? Yeah, yeah, okay. So I can appreciate you're asking me the questions on how much the transactions are. But listen, to be honest, I don't want to give you any wrong information. So I want to take a step back because wouldn't you agree, Joe? Getting 100% of the correct information on the details on something as important as how you accept payment in your business, how you feed your family. 100% of the correct information, right, would be almost the only way you should make a decision, wouldn't it? And then you stop. So, what is wouldn't it? Wouldn't it is a hook phrase. Wouldn't it? Shouldn't it? Couldn't it? Don't you? Would you? Should you? So all those little things, it leads them, but then you can shut up and let them answer. And as soon as he says yes, you know what? That's why you've been successful up to this point in your business. And this is going to make you more successful. Give me 1 second. Boom, boom, boom. Merchant guy on the phone. This is the customer. This is their business. This is how much they do. This is what they want to do. This is where they're going. Here he is. Boom. Done. Referral in. So that's one part of it. So I hope you guys got it. I'm going to say it one more time. Mr. Customer, wouldn't you agree the best way to make a decision on whatever subject, blank, on blank, is getting 100% of the correct information, right? Then you do your hook and you close, right? So 100% of the correct information is the absolute best way to make a decision. Wouldn't you agree? Boom. Yes, great. You're a smart woman. You're a smart man. You're a smart businesswoman. You're a smart mom. You're a smart dad. Whatever it is, give me 1 second, and you go right to the phone. Don't even look at them. Give me 1 second, and you're right to the phone calling your partner, right? So that's one part of it. The other part of it that everyone was asking more, and I thought more people knew about it, was edification. Edification is probably the most powerful tool probably created, which is why you see a lot of missionaries use it. You'll see a lot of the LDS missionaries, the Mormon missionaries, they go 2 by 2, and what do they edify? The Book of Mormon, right? So they go in, they create rapport, they create trust, right? And then what do? Where's one? You start asking them questions, and what do they say? That's a great question. Let's see what Nephi has to say, right? Let's see what Alma the Younger has to say, whatever it may be, right? And they go and they read right from the Book of Mormon, because the Book of Mormon now is 100% of the correct information. So if you necessarily don't have a person who's going to be that you're referring to, then you want to have the system is going to be your 100% of the correct information, right? So whether it's a training system, whether it's a investment system, whether it's an investment platform, whatever it is, that's what you edify as 100% of the correct information. Now, when you're going person to person, it's very important, and it's rough because salesmen usually have big egos. So it can get a little weird, but when you use edification, if it's done right and you're not dealing with like an egocentric asshole, right, who wants to believe and just be showered with the edification, right, that they're the best, and they're never going to give a drop of edification back. By you edifying them, that customer is going to think that they're the top guy, knows far more than you, and it may actually be reversed. It just may be the role you need to play, right? So what you need to do is you need to, when you're working off somebody who can drop the ego and they can edify back to you. So how it should look is it's rapport or trust, respect, and then 100% of the expert, right? 100% of the correct information of the expert, the triangle, right? So when I'm talking to you and we're talking and talking, I'm building rapport, right? I'm stacking rapport, minor agreements, right? You're saying yes, and I'm going through, and I'm like we're going through that little story of the hero's arc, right? I'm guiding you through it, building rapport, similar struggles, things that are happening, right? And just some transparency, and you're really you're doing everything you need to do. Your tonality's right. You're mirroring and matching what they're doing, to a point. You're not being a wacko about it, but you're kind of, all of that makes a very big difference, because it makes it familial, right? It makes it like you could tell friends. Sometimes friends, you think they're brothers, right? Because they have the same mannerisms, right? And they do the same things at the same time. That makes you more closer, right? That makes you a lot closer, right? And so it's that same thing. You're trying to build. That's what you're building as the first part of the triangle, right? And so now they trust you. So the next part is you need to edify the person you're going to be sending them to. So when I would refer out to somebody, I wouldn't just have picked up the phone. I was just trying to show you the one statement, that one part, right? The 100% of the correct information. But what I would have done is I would have first, after I built rapport and did all that, right? And after I was asking questions in the story and that hero's journey, right? I'm asking questions and I'm loading up tactically, right? I'm loading up my gun, right? So I'm loading it up very, very, it's tactical. And it's also psychological, right? Because we're in this together now, and I'm the kind of the hero's guide throughout the story. And so as I'm guiding him through, I see his body language. I see what he's reacting to. I see if he sits back and folds his arms, right? Or he breathes out and puts his hand over his face, or if he leans in, or if he's saying yes and he's like really intentively listening and he's asking like questions and he's really into the whole he's getting into it because he can see that picture building in his head. And as that's happening, he's starting to ask questions which are all buy signs, right? So now I'm doing all that, so I'm layering on, and so now I have somebody in front of me that trusts me. And so when you get real good, at what you're doing, you start to build a trust and a familiarity very, very quickly. And I'm telling you, it's a very powerful tool, and don't use it in the wrong way. You can use it for evil too, not just good. It's a very powerful tool when you start to do stuff like this, right? So now they trust you. Do not misuse it. Do not betray their trust. Now that you work to get their trust, now is when you need to do something with it, right? It's like the same thing. Knowledge isn't power. Knowledge is knowledge. What's power is taking action on the knowledge that you've gained. Then you can say knowledge is powerful because you just took action, and the action you took, you utilized the knowledge, and that made you powerful, right? So it's the same thing. You've built all this trust. Now you want to move that energy, right? So you're going to move it to the respect portion of the triangle. And so what you do is, I knew something about each one of my partners, right? How long they were in the business, what they do, how customers react, whatever it may be, if they were smart in this or that, something that the customer will see and go like, oh, I see what John's talking about, right? It just, again, it's relatable. But if you just go, yeah, I have a good investment guy that I send people to. Yeah, his name is Mike. He's sitting over there. Hey, Mike, you free? You free? Yeah, Joe. Mike's free. You want to go talk to him about the investment? Joe's going to go there, and he don't know Mike. He trusts me, but I didn't say anything good about Mike. I treated Michael like he could have been the homeless guy outside, right? So when the customer goes over, he's going to sit down in a chair like this, like he first sat down with me. And as soon as Michael asked him, so what type of a business you have that you want to do a SEP IRA? I told John all this. I got to tell you the same thing. I don't have time. Like, why do I got to tell you the same stuff? Can you just get his notes? Like, right? Because there's no respect. The reason there's no respect is because I built all this trust and I didn't treat him with any respect. So how it works, edification. You build up the trust. It all starts with you. And then I say, Mr. Smith, let me tell you something. I'm glad you came in today because it's a stroke of luck. You must have a rabbit's foot in your pocket. Michael's here. So Michael is someone who I would send my mother to. Michael is someone who I trust my investments with. He is one of the fastest growing, one of the smartest kids or men that we have right in the area. Right, everybody goes to him. I cannot believe he happens to be sitting here when you've come in, because I really want to make sure we take care of you. Anybody I ever sent to him, and usually they have to wait probably a month to sit with him. You're going to sit with him immediately. But anybody who I send to him, they come over and they thank me. And sometimes I get presents, which you can bring me a present, right? And you laugh. So what did I just do? If that customer trusts me and I just edified the investment person, say his name is Mike, right? I edified Mike that way. If you trust somebody and I'm saying this person is the absolute best person that you can go to, I cannot believe he's here. I would let him do my mother's investments, my investments. Everybody wants him. There's a waiting list. You're lucky enough to get some of his time right now, right? And so because you trust me, you are going to immediately, and it's just psychological. This is not tactical. This is psychological.
you will immediately trust him, right? And so when you go sit down, you're not sitting down, leaning back in your seat, worrying about the questions he asked that maybe duplicated mine or get my notes. You're going to have a respect level for him immediately. You're sitting, that customer will be sitting close, probably to the edge of their chair, waiting with kind of a bated breath to see what is he going to say. Like, what is this? Like Warren Buffett that I'm sitting in front of? Like, this is amazing. But what happens is as he goes over and sits with Mike and he's giving him all this respect, trust, now he gives Michael all that respect. What Michael's supposed to do is now throw edification back on me, right? And I'll tell you what it does. So what it should sound like is, yeah, this is Michael should be saying this. How you doing, Mr. Smith? You know what? Anytime John sends over a referral, I know it's a quality person because I haven't worked with anybody, not only just in this bank, but in the banking industry that has the experience, knowledge, and literally lack of an ego to step out of the way to truly help his customer get in front of somebody who's an expert in that field. He is absolutely the best to work with. I can't believe you got to sit with John today because he is so booked up because of how he takes care of clients. That being said, let's get down to business. I know you have a day, and so I just want to let's get some things done so we can get some meaningful steps done today. Right? We'll go as far as you need me to. How does that sound? Fair enough? Yes, great. And so what that does is this: trust, respect. Now he respects him, right? And now because he respects Mike, now when Michael says, "I'm the shit," John is the shit, that guy automatically, it cements into him as fact that I am the absolute best on the banking side that he could have worked with. He trusted me, and it's already done psychologically. He trusted me. I told him Michael was the absolute best person he can be sitting with, and everything I said to edify Michael. So he respects Michael. As Michael throws that back on me, what that guy will walk out of the branch thinking, or wherever you work, is that, holy shit, I just sat with the most high-powered team between banking and investments that I could have sat with anywhere, right? And the only people telling him how great we are, it was us. But because of how that works, right? Edification, because of how it works, and representing somebody as 100% of the correct information, and you build trust. That's why that first piece has to be there. If they don't trust you, then they're not going to give a shit what you say. But if you're good enough and they trust you, you edify, they'll give respect, then the edification should return to you. Where the problem comes in is sometimes people get a big head and they just believe their own edification, and then it's over, right? Then it's over. It's not going to work because then you got an arrogant head this big asshole sitting over there, and he's going to ruin the edification. But if you have somebody that'll play back and forth, then that client will become a great client because there is nothing you're going to be able to tell him that he won't do, or that Michael will tell him that he won't do, or whoever your partner is, right? Whatever you guys say, whatever plans you put forth, they will do, right? And again, this is why this is a very, very powerful tool, and it could be used for people do use it for bad things, to influence people in the wrong way and rob and steal and do all that shit. Don't be that guy. You don't have to. You can use it in the right way and kill it the right way, doing the right thing for the customers. Don't chase commission so hard that you are hurting people by using a powerful tool like this. So I just wanted to make sure I said that. I hope you guys wrote it down. If you didn't, I don't know, maybe you got to catch the replay. All right. So that's how I close so many referrals. And that's what edification is and why it's so powerful. So what I want you to do is this: write down a transformation story from a client, right? Write down that transformation story. Use it in your next call or meeting, right? And test the impact. So get that hero story, and then what you want to do is you want to, as you're going through that journey, the hero's journey, right? You want to go over it, go over it, go over it, go over it, go over that story, and use it on the next customer, right? And whatever the outcome is, the outcome is. Use it on the next one. You got to do it a few times. You got to tell the story in the right way. And I usually do this behind, when I'm mentoring one-on-one. But okay, really quick. And this is how it's. I wasn't planning on doing it, so I'm doing this off the cuff. So forgive me if it's a little sticky because I haven't done it in a while. So there was a customer that came in. I was sitting with one of my bankers. I was managing a branch. I was sitting with one of my bankers, great banker, really good banker, sitting with them. Lady comes in, all upset. I want to close my personal account and my personal credit card. I want to close my accounts. I want to close my accounts. And so I was sitting with him. So he, yes, ma'am, and he does everything. He closes her accounts out, closes the credit card, calls up the credit department, closes. Okay. As she grabs her bags and she's grabbing her bags and things and she's going to get up, I say, hey, ma'am, do you have 2 minutes? I'm just curious about a few things. So she was like, yeah, what? And so I said, well, I'm John. It's very nice to meet you. I'm sad to see that you closed your account, but where are you banking? And she was like, well, no way, I got to get an account. I said, don't you have a business? You said? She said, yeah. So I was like, uh, what type of business do you have? Right? 1 second. So I said, what type of business do you have? Right? And then she says, a cleaning business. I clean houses and I'm starting to build up quite a clientele. And so I said, that's wonderful. And so I was like, do you have, how do you take payment? She goes, either a check or cash. And I said, wow, that must be tough because nobody carries cash no more. Nobody has checks. And she was like, I know. And so I was like, do you have 5 minutes? I just want to share something with you. Would that be okay? Right? And I'm saying it to you like I was saying it to her because, again, you want to lower the guard. You don't want to say like, you have a couple of minutes. I want to share something with you, right? You're not saying it like you couldn't care less. You're saying it like, you have 5 minutes. Like, can you give me 5 minutes? It's real important. I just want to share something with you. They're more likely to say yes to somebody like that than someone who's speaking arrogantly or whatever you want to say, right? And so I said, hey, I'll tell you what, we had a great house cleaner and she was building too. And it was funny. Every time she came over, my little one at the time, I think she was about 7, something like that. And so what she would do is when she comes over, my little one starts helping her. And she has the broom and she make believe she's flying on the broom and she puts her, her bandana on like the cleaning lady and she's, trying to help her dust, and the cleaning lady's really good with her. And my daughter loves her, which to be honest, which was why she still the last few times she came to clean the house. The only reason why was because my daughter loved her. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened. Because I noticed every time she came to clean the house, I had to run out of the house to an ATM and go get cash. Right? That's how far back it was back a ways. And so it was a pain in the ass. I was like, seriously, I got to keep going to get this stuff. So I'm telling this lady in front of me this story, and I'm telling her, I'm like, and it was, she would come over, and it was heartbreaking because she was building, and I wanted to give her referrals. I could, my neighbors all knew me, and all I had to do was refer her to them, and they would have started using her cleaning their house, right? Since she was a referral. But I don't want to put them out where they got to, now we're all going to meet in the morning and go make an ATM run to pay this lady, right? So I told the lady, I told her, I said, hey, listen, I'm sorry, but it's very inconvenient. And, this is going to be the last time you're going to clean the house. I hate to do this, but It's the last time you're gonna clean the house here. I'll give you a good tip, and I wish you really, I wish you well, but it's just too inconvenient to keep doing this. And the crazy thing is, I don't know why it didn't dawn on me to talk to her about merchant. I was just saying it was too inconvenient. I think it was because I was too close. We were close to her, and I didn't want to make her like I don't know. I just didn't want to make her feel worse. So I was just like, it's just inconvenient. I'm sorry. And I just wanted it to kind of end because I felt like shit. And then my little one started crying. That's how much she like loved this lady. And so what happened? She comes over the nenext time. Oh, that's right. I told her the next time will be your last time. I don't want to just cut it off today, but next week is going to be the last week you're going to be here, right? So I say that to her. The lady was crying. My wife started to get upset, and especially my little one started crying. So she leaves, and we go about our week. Well, when she comes back the next day, again, I'm in the house, and why I don't have cash ready for her, I don't know, but I didn't. So I'm like, give me a second. I got to go run out. And she goes, wait, wait, wait. She put her little square on her phone. I swiped my card, and she was our house cleaner for the next probably 10 years, 8 years, right? Not only that, but I did refer her to about 5 of my neighbors, and they referred her to about 4 or 5 of their neighbors, and on and on. She almost had she had about 2 or 3 blocks in a very big community, and she was growing to a point where she was taking people on. She had 2 or 3 cleaning crews going out in the morning, another 2 and 3 in the afternoon. I mean, she was starting to really do well. Now I ask you, you don't have a we can we specialize in helping small businesses out. But let me ask you, do you want to stay the same size, or and just cleaning, a couple of houses, or are you looking to grow and continue to build revenue? What are you looking to do? Right? And so she said, nope, I want to grow. That's something that I want to do. And I said, okay, so can you see why not having merchant is going to be an obstacle for you in your business? Can you see that? Yes. Okay, so do you want to have kind of that takeoff rate like this lady had? Are you prepared for the success? Are you prepared to make that money? Are you prepared to take care of that many people? And she was like, I'm ready. I'm ready. I was like, all right. So what we're gonna let's open up a business account for you. And what you agree that getting 100% of the correct information would be the best way for you to make a decision on which merchant processor to use. She said, yeah, how many are there? I said, well, my point exactly. I want to get you in front of the expert who's literally give you 100% of the correct information, and you'll make the best decision that way. Wouldn't you agree? Yes. See, you are a smart businesswoman. And then I go right to the phone. I called up my merchant partner, put him on the phone as my banker started opening the account. So now the reason I share that with you is this was someone who came in, closed their accounts, was pissed off with the bank. But because I did the hero's journey with her, right? Because I did the storytelling, and she can see it in her head. She can see my little one crying, right? Because she loved the lady who cleaned the house, putting the bandana on and putting the broom between her legs. Like, you can see all those little details, right? And it moving up, and then to the crescendo, right? Of the challenges that she's probably facing with people making a face at her when she can't accept anything but cash or a check, right? The inconvenience that she's putting on people, all that stuff. She's feeling the same things. And so that picture is in her head. Now she's seeing that person who's coming. She's not going there. She's looking at that person like she has cleaning crews going out. So she's probably not going and rip clothes anymore. She's probably dressing up nicer and nicer, right? She's probably doing those things so she could, so she's like, now I could start doing that, right? I could go out instead of me sweating and being on my hands and knees. I can have cleaning crews out because my business will grow. That was in her head. And so that's a referral, and that's an open business account from somebody who was literally getting up with closed account paperwork. And that's how I used to teach my bankers how to sell and what to do, is by doing it right there, live, on the spot, and they would see it work. And that's why my branches was successful, because everyone believed in what we were doing, because I would do it right in front of them, and that's how they learned. So okay, so that's it. So I'm going to go through this next thing quickly. I just wanted to go through that because I'm telling you, anyone with anything to do with sales, get very familiar with the hero's journey. Look at the different aspects of who you talk to, and start to get some story arcs, right? That you can move some people. And when you tell the story, you got to tell the story, and they have to believe you, right? So when it comes to the crypto market, when you look at Bitcoin and Ethereum, right, they're the two bigger ones. Although XRP is going to be right there, it's in the top 5. But Bitcoin is up, XRP is up, everything is actually up. Solana is up. And then when you look at the Ripple platform, XRP up, XLM is up, Sologenic's up, Fuzzy's even up. And so you have all the big players that we talk about, they're all up. Everything is up. But with the uncertainty, you have to remember, the more uncertain that the markets get because of global affairs, right? Because of Israel, Iran, and now America is in this Iranian conflict now, right? All these things that are happening causes uncertainty. Your plan needs to be more certain, right? So what would you be investing in now to do that, right? So what are you looking at? You want to make sure that you see where we're going, what happens during wartime, what companies do good, what sectors do good, right? So that's what you want to look at. And again, not investment advice. It's just some of the things that I look at, and I want to share it with you, but this is not investment advice. Always do your own research. So when I look at the rising geopolitical tensions, U.S.-Iran the strikes, fueled crypto's role in it, digital insurance, all the things that you're going to need. What do you think are some of the sectors that are going to move, right? Well, I still think technology can do okay, like the AI stuff, right? Like Plantar and companies like that. They're going to probably still move up. Anything to do with the construction of drones, the microchip for drones, anything that helps drones strike accurately, any of that type of technology is going to do well. Whatever the company is going to do well. Iron companies, right? Northrop. What are some of the other companies that do really well? Let's see. So yeah. Northrop, Grumman, Lockheed Martin, all the defense stocks, right? All those things are what those companies are the ones that do really well during this time. But you want, again, do your research, see what they have. The tech and AI, even though it's kind of in a tailwind, I think the AI adoption is it's going to continue. So just make sure you're in something that has some teeth. Again, it's going to have some utility and not just be eaten up by some of the bigger guys. And then you have and you have Dan Ives, who's from Webbush, and he remains very upbeat on AI linked names like Plantar, Microsoft, and he's citing the Middle East investment and on Tesla's long term trajectory. And when you look, when Elon Musk, when he got out of doing the White House stuff, and now he's back to Tesla, Tesla took a big hit, and then it jumped. And so it's something that you want with him back at the helm. You never know, he's going to be out on the circuit doing interviews, and he's going to be coming up with innovative things. So you want to watch. If Tesla goes down like it did, it's probably a good buying sign to get, because it's not going nowhere, and Elon is a genius. And so you have mid-cap stocks gaining attention, aviation, real estate, benefit from travel, and they're going to rebound. And there's actually strong housing fundamentals. So crypto, it's going to be volatile until probably late 25. So into later part of the year. It's continued consolidation around established coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRM, XLM, XRP are expected. Emerging platforms like Sologenic are going to see gains if DeFi adoption persists. and I think it may. I think it's going to, and that's getting a little more speculative. U.S. stocks, you look for AI, the defensive stocks, or defense stocks like war defense. Uh, Financials usually do good because the government's pouring money into steel companies to make munitions and stuff. So the financials do well. And then inflation hedges are great to have. So the Fed's looks like it's going to start to cut rates. It looks like it's about a 70% chance it's going to cut rates, and that'll extend the market rallies. So that's that. And then the risks are if geopolitically there's escalations, right? And the tariffs are still on. We're at war. We're really getting deep into the weeds in war again. Earnings will slow down a little bit. Uncertainty, regulations are going to start to shift, and it could trigger a correction in the market. So you always want to be balanced and be in the right things. So if the correction does come, you're not taking a big hit and you're balanced. Okay, so a couple of things with so when it comes to like a real life story, and so I referred to so consistently and effectively that that your closes will be better doing this, right? So it's like I'm trying to, so you understand how effective it can be when you do this. But again, it's just not for closing business, and it's just not for referring, and it's just not for personal growth. It's for all of it. That hero's journey is huge because when you look at it, it's the relatable struggle, right? That's the pain point. The guide appears. That's you, the salesperson. The transformation, right? What it looks like after your product or service, after they take it, right? What's it going to look like? You see the picture I drew for her, where it's going to be, right? And so use the 3-part storytelling that I just went over on your next customer. Relate, guide, transform, right? Now, when you look at moving over to the self-development side, it's kind of like systems over shock, right? Again, it's more of that, don't look for one big change to change your life like you hit a lottery. It's disciplined, good, fractional decisions that are on the positive for you every single day, right? That over a year, over 6 months, a year, 5 years, you'll be unrecognizable. You'll be so different, right? So it's the same thing with this. Your self-development needs to have systems, not shock, not like shock. So it's like all these bumpy, random shit, right? It's system, a set system in place that you can be disciplined with and that you can plug and play. It plugs in and it works. It works and you can duplicate it, right? So massive breakthroughs are cool, but you want lasting change. So that comes from creating habits over time. If something happens really quick and you make money, most times that money is going to go because you didn't create the habits and you didn't put the work in to really get it. You got a one quick pump. And so those same bad habits are still there. The discipline isn't there. You didn't build it, right? You didn't have to because you had one big hit, but you feel good for about 6 months or a year, depending on how much you made. But it goes away because you don't have the discipline systems in place to really grow the way you should have, right? So why systems beat sudden shifts? And it's one, emotional wins are temporary, right? And emotional wins, I think, it's not mutually exclusive. I think you need to have your systems and discipline and build, but it doesn't mean you can't have these emotional wins where you're always doing what you need to do and you're staying disciplined. But in that discipline is a space for you to stretch and grow and break out of that comfortability box, right? And just rip that box apart and go outside of what your norm. So it don't mean that you're taking bad risks. You're taking calculated risks, but it's all within the framework of the discipline you have every day, the things you're doing every day, the consistency and persistence you have every day to do what you need to do to get successful, there needs to be room for you to stretch and get out there, right? And feel that uncomfortability, because that's how you're going to grow as well. So you want to do both in balance, right? A lot less of the risky stuff. You want to do a lot more, say 90% more of the disciplined gains every day, right? Through discipline. And then 10%, say you go and you take that calculated risk to see if you can get a big hit, right? But it's just not all out of emotion, because you have discipline going for you. So that it's going to look different. It's going to be framed differently. I talk about framing with sales. You got to keep reframing where the customer is looking at it. If they keep looking at it from their point of view, you're never going to get your point of view across. So you got to get them in a different frame of mind, frame what you're saying in a different way. So they're not even thinking that same way they were when they first came in, because they were thinking that way because they wanted to put you on the balls of your feet, backpedaling the whole time. But if you keep reframing them and bringing them to here and then to here, when they first came in over here, they're not even going to bring this up anymore. It's not there anymore. It's kind of gone. Now they're here where you want them because you keep reframing. Same thing. All right. So, the routine wins become part of your identity, right? So it's not just emotional temporary wins. It's the routine of winning just becomes your identity. This is how it is, right? Some people will call you lucky. Some people will get irritated and not want to be around you. But you will know beyond a shadow of a doubt that winning is just what you do, right? That's it. And that's how you have to get in the mindset of, no matter what you do, whatever you're doing, you're always going to come out of it. You're always going to win. You're always going to be where you need to be when you need to be there. You're always going to get what you need to get when you need to get it and when you need it most. But you need to know beyond the shadow of a doubt, right? And if you're in that mindset, that means you're in a mindset of gratitude because you're happy with what you have. And that means you can handle more. But if you're not grateful for what you have, the universe will not give you more. So you got to learn to be happy with what you have. It doesn't mean you have to be satisfied. It doesn't mean that you can become complacent. It means you are grateful that you have the ability and opportunities you do to be where you're at and what you're doing today. And you're grateful for what you have. And then more can come with the right mindset. Okay. So you want to track the 3 daily disciplines, and you want to make sure first choose 2 areas, right? That you want. Don't work on every single area, overwhelming. Health, money, relationships, career. What do you want to work on? The 3 daily disciplines: journal, exercise, visualize or planning, whatever you want to write. Those are the disciplines that you want to take every day to see where you're at, what you're doing, what you need to do to get better tomorrow, how to be better today than yesterday, tomorrow than today, right? That's what we're doing. Incremental increases every single day. And so when we look at, so when you start to look at how you're kind of, when you look at what you're doing every single day, what are you looking for, and what are the KPIs that you're looking to see if you are successful or not? And another question: what do you do when you want to find out if you're being successful without looking at performance numbers and KPIs? If there was no goals, if your company had no goals for you, there was no goals, how would you know if you were being successful? It's a rough question to answer when you think about it, because if there are no parameters that you need to hit, no minimums to gain, none of that. How do you know if you're really hitting expectation? I mean, aside from not getting fired, right? But let's just say it was your job and no one gets fired. Everyone's there for 30 years. But how do you know you are being successful? So something to think about. And I will tell you that you want to make sure that that's a question that you can answer with you want to answer with a really good answer, because that will show where your headspace is at, where your mind frame is at, where your mindset is at. Um, because some people say the same thing. Well, I didn't get fired, right? Or get good reviews, or whatever it is. But how would you know every day when you go to do your journaling that you were being successful? So my contention is, and what I said when I was asked this question is, I know I will be. I know I would. I would consider myself successful if there were no goals. If every minute I was at my desk, every single minute I was at my desk, I was giving 100% to whatever I was doing, to the point of almost exhaustion. That's the energy I was giving everything I was doing. So even though I wasn't being monitored on how many phone calls I was making, I know that I didn't let 1 minute go without dialing that phone. I did not take advantage of the fact that they're not watching, right? Every customer I spoke to, I made sure I tried my very best to move one step, keep moving them one step along the process to get them into a full pitch to try to close them. And just because one was harder than the other, I didn't stop. So 100% every time you were in your chair. And if you can say that, then you're being successful. And if you can do that, I don't care what the KPIs are, you'll blow them out of the water if you can get that discipline. So just something to think about. All right. So, okay. So a couple of things. When you have a customer that is, so when you have a customer that is just is giving you, when you're trying to pitch them and they're just being kind of standoffish, right? Or they're not giving you anything. They kind of don't want to look at you. They don't want to give you anything, and you're asking them questions. You're trying to be engaging. You're trying to you're smiling. You're doing all the things you need to do, and you say you're doing a good job, right? But your customer is a miserable bastard, right? He's just miserable, right? And he's just he's just being very very dismissive and kind of not disrespectful, but just like kind of dismissive, right? So with that, what does that do for you? How does that change what you do when you're talking to the customer? And I find that the answers I get with this are pretty interesting, because it's very odd, because I'll have some people say, yeah, I don't, what I do is I say, like, well, listen, if this is something that you just don't want, then why would you come in here, right? Or after a while, right? They get like that. And it dawned on me why so many salespeople fail, because there's an average of about 7 no's, right? 5 to 7 no's every sale. So I wonder why people give up so quickly. They get 2 no's, and it's just like, well, hey, shit, I couldn't convince them. Too bad. Next, right? But what I'll tell you is this: nobody wants to be miserable. I don't care how much they fight for it. They don't want to be, right? Which is why people who are happy annoy them, because they really want to be happy. When stuff like that happens, you want to continue. You want to be the one setting the example. You want to be the one who continues to get up and move forward. Because somebody is miserable, and because they are trying to project whatever unhappiness they have on you, doesn't mean you have to eat it. What it means is you have to work twice as hard, right? To get them to smile, to get them to be happy, to distract them from the misery that they're going through. And if at all possible, to show them how you're. Hey, hey, stop. Sorry, guys. So yeah, so what I just wanted, that's the last thing I wanted to end off with is this, is that you want to make sure that, again, that through the we went through the hero's journey, and the reason why I really stayed on this was because it's so important. And the people who haven't seen these first couple of episodes and haven't seen this one, this last one and this one are going to be very important, because if you want to become a very high powered salesperson, you want to make sure, number one, you sell with stories. Number two, that you work on personal development, right? Not just selling a product, but personal development and becoming the best you can be every day. Today better than yesterday, tomorrow better than today. Every single day, never ends. Every time, again, that the universe knocks you on your ass, you get up. It knocks you down 100 times, you're up 101 times, right? And all the things that I've spoken about for these first 5 episodes have really been just the building blocks of basic personal development fundamentals, the foundation you need to build underneath your feet so you're not standing on sand, you're standing on cement. So when the times come that are rough, or you see smoke, you are not scared to run into the fire because you have your legs under you. You feel strength through gratitude, because you know once you break through consistency and persistence and discipline, you are going to break out the other side. And when those people and customers come to you and they're hard, especially in the beginning, sometimes you take it personally, or you let it get to you to a point where my older daughter would come home crying because she probably helped 200 people that day, right at the bank. One person cursed at her. Everyone else was pleasant, but the one person that cursed at her destroyed her day, and she would come home crying with it, right? And like, you want to go choke that person who did that, made your girl cry. But I would tell her, what did the other 199 people, how were they? And she was like, no, they were good, but this one guy, and you go crying. But what starts to happen is she's sweet, she smiles, she talks when she smiles when she talks, right? And she's sweet to everybody. And some of those same people, after a while, came in and they apologized, and she won them over through being consistently happy, nice, energetic. And so when they saw her, when she saw that person, instead of tightening up and frowning, right? And that person feeling that negative energy and feeling like, oh, great, we're in alignment, I'm going to go right at her again. She was smiling again. Hi, how you doing? How can I help you? Blah, blah. And all of a sudden, one time he came in and she did it and it broke through. He smiled, and every time he came into, it was almost a reprieve when he would come into the bank to talk to her, because of how she broke through that, right? So persistence and consistency will always will always beat that negativity. It just will, because everybody wants to be happy. Human beings want to be loved. They want certainty. Although variety is the spice of life, they want certainty, right? And so certainty, love, human connection, being happy, smiling, laughing, everybody, if they can have a life like that, there is nobody that would literally sit and choose to be miserable all the time. It's tiring, exhausting, and no fun. You buy into it and you justify it being that way, right? But when you run into somebody who truly wants to help, truly has your best interest at heart, right? And even though you acted like a schmuck, this person continued to, I don't know, what would you say, to continue to treat you with respect, continue to treat you with the best attitude they can, continue to try to give you the best customer service they can, to put their best foot forward in the sale, after the sale, all that stuff, and always and not giving in. Every time you were pissed off and you yelled and cursed, they didn't go down that road with you. They kept that smile on. And after a while, you will start, that person will break and start to smile. It's who's going to win, right? Who's going to win that? And it's the same thing when you're over the phone on a sale with somebody. A sale is always taking place. Don't be fooled, right? It's just, are you selling them or are they selling you? That's it. There's always a sale going on. There's always a decision being made, right? When you make a decision to end that sale, you are making the decision to end the sale. That's the decision you're making, right? So you don't, for some reason, we don't look at it that way, but it's 100% true. And any salesman that I had under me on my team, they never ended the sale. If they ended the sale, that was a problem, right? So you never end the sale. You keep going. The sale ends when the customer hangs up on you, slams the door in your face, or gets up and leaves. That's fine. Until then, we overcome and stay calm, relaxed intensity, smile, gratitude, always come from your customer is the center of the universe, regardless how much of an asshole they may be. If you're always doing that, you will start to win them over. And as long as they don't leave, hang up, or slam a door in your face, you will win out. If you have the skill and built the skill to overcome objections, to overcome someone's attitude destroying your environment. Okay, so that's the last I'm gonna do on the hero's journey and selling with stories. So what I would tell you is, when objections come, I was gonna do objections today. I'm gonna do that next time, because I went more into some of the actual stories from when I actually was selling and using it. And so I'm going to do objections next week, how to handle objections, the best way to handle objections, different ways to handle objections, and why it's important to really know that scripting. So when you're in that high stress situation, muscle memory will kick in, right? And you can have great rebuttals for those. So what I would say is, everything that we've done so far has, again, it's really been on the basic side, but it's been all the fundamental building blocks of what you need, because as we move forward, we're going to start to get more and more advanced, right? In personal development and sales, it's going to get more and more advanced. So I'm gonna do objections will be part of next week's, and then the end of next month, the last Wednesday of next month, we're going to do a crypto corner with me and Jason and I, and then I think on Sunday, me and Lisa will be on for deep dives, and then Lisa has her show, I think on Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember now, but she'll do her show. So look out for those. And then, Lisa's website is visionsbeyondthedesert.com. And then her book is on there, Visions of Shadows and Stars. And then the Frequency Formula is out there. It's my book. That's the Grabovoi codes. You can get it on Kindle. And other than that, on Lisa's website, you can book the hour. And I think she's still running her special that if you buy an hour, you'll get a free half hour to give as a gift to somebody, or you can use yourself. But that's how I got my first reading, was Lisa bought one and gave me the gift of a half hour. And so that's what she's doing. And then also Lisa is going to be doing a show, which is really exciting, because these are two of probably some of my favorite people. But Sherry Divban and Solretta Ontaria. So Sol and Sherry and Lisa are going to be doing a show together. That's going to be fun. That's going to be kick-ass. So that'll be good. More to come on that. And I think we have a couple of interviews coming up, and I think we have an interview with Ken Inch coming up, which is going to be cool. I can't wait to talk to our my brother from another mother. And on Deep Dives, we're going to interview him, and he has a really interesting story. Wait till you guys hear it. Other than that, have a good week. I wish all you well. God bless. Take care.